So we're going to be working on this project called 411. Basically, it's what you see on your screen right now. What we're going to do is design it in 3D and then make a flat shot to get the 2D drawings out of it. The fillets, don't worry about those till the end because they'll just make you confused. Once we have all parts put together, we union it and we put the fillets. So we start out with the base, which is 42 by 120. So we go to write down command, click anywhere on the screen, D for dimension, we go 120 for the length, and 42 for the width. We place it on the screen by selecting our left mouse button. Whoa. Okay, so we have a base square. We're going to add these circles, which we need to place into the right location. To do that, I usually draw reference lines. So looking at the drawing, the circle here is at center. So I make sure that I have a midpoint OSNAP active. I hover over the vertical line here, and I draw a line across. Is specified on the drawing as, actually it doesn't specify. It specifies the distance between the two holes, which is 90, minus the 120, gives us 30, divided by 2. So 15 is the center of our circle here. We draw a circle at that point. The diameter is 15. And to make this project a little faster, all we have to do is mirror this over. So we use the mirror command. Modify mirror, select the circle, and we're going to create a line, an axis from the midpoint to the midpoint, and we accept. That gives us the base, which is 2D, which at this point we want to make it 3D, so we do the press pull. You can either put the fillets at the corners here now in the 2D drawing, or you can do it later in the 3D model. It's up to you. Both will work. We'll leave it for later. I'll try to keep fillets at the end. So what we're going to do is press pull, select the object, and the thickness is 10. I'm going to change my 2D view from 2D wireframe to conceptual. Gives me a better visual view of this. I'm also turning off my grid because I don't like using the grid. So that's my first piece, which is the base. Next piece is going to be, well, it depends on which way we want to work out at. We're going to have to work this piece here. It's going to be tricky because it has a circle that's centered. So we might just have to draw the whole front with the circle, and then we'll use the circle cylinder to create actual cylinder. This might be the easiest way of doing this. And the final part, we'll do this top piece here a bit later. But we don't want to cut the hole yet until we have this top piece here, because otherwise it's going to give us it'll be really hard for us to do that unless we have to cut through twice. You'll see what I mean in just a bit. So basically what we have at the bottom is like a T. So we can draw it that way, or we can draw it from the front, which might be the easiest way of doing it. So we're just going to do the front view of it. We can keep on drawing this on the top. Doesn't have to be the front view because we're going to rotate it later on. So what we're going to do is create the base. So what I'm drawing now is this 60 here, from here to here, and the height I will have to figure out based on these dimensions here. So a little math will be necessary. Draw a line, horizontal, make sure you have ortho on, active, and you type in 60. For that, we are going to draw a line that goes all the way up to the center of the cylinder at 105. We'll actually draw the cylinder now. That way it makes us understand exactly what we're drawing. So this is diameter of 70, and the inside is diameter of 60. We have that. Now the 60 is attached directly to the outside cylinder, so we go directly vertically up. and we trim off any material we don't need. From there, we also mirror it to the other side. Modify mirror. And we have the base. The only problem with this is the dimension that I placed in here, the 105, is from the bottom to the center of the circle. What we actually wanted was the top plane here to the center of the circle, which is, based on the map, on the drawing here, is 10 millimeters less. So what we need to do is either stretch this up 10, or we move this up 10 and trim it. I'm going to show you guys how to stretch. Hopefully you guys know this by now. If not, this should be a good refresher. We go to our stretch command, which is right here under copy. We select the bottom complete horizontal line and both vertical lines. So anything that's inside the box now gets moved. Anything that is only partially in the box will get stretched or reduced. So I select that object like so, and I click yes, these are all the objects I would like to select, and I click on a base point of displacement. It can be anywhere on the screen actually. So I'm going to click here, and I'm moving my mouse up, so that way it knows which direction I am stretching it, and I got to specify the distance, which is next. I'm going to specify 10. So it shortens to exact right distance. Now I'm going to show you maybe a few other examples of stretch. So if I have stretch command and I select, as you can see, I'm selecting there's 3 full lines inside of the box, and there's two full lines in the box, and there's 2 lines that are not completely in. When I do that, I select enter, you can see that the 2 that are completely in the box, they're there, the same exact shape, the same length. They don't change. The other 2, well, they can just stretch and flip around depending on which location you're placing them. So you can really modify objects pretty fast and efficiently using a stretch, but you have to get used to using it. That's the only problem. I'll try to implement it more during class so you guys get a better hang of it. Okay, so we have the base. What we need next is actually we can take this part here, so we can actually trim out what we no longer need. This is the part that we want to press pull, and we have a press pull of 6 here. So you can go press pull, and we're going to type in 6. In addition, there is also a triangle that we're going to have to work out, and that's going to be pretty difficult also. Actually, that one's going to be really tricky, but we'll be able to do that. The problem with looking at this, so we have one more, the front triangle. That's the tricky part right here. There's a few different ways you can draw this. You can draw a triangle, extrude it out. The only problem with that, if you do the triangle and extrude it, it's not going to follow the curve of the cylinder. So we can't really do it that way. What we need to do is actually get this top piece and the back, or actually we can do the bottom piece from the bottom, which is a little curved on top, and a square, and we can extrude it out and then slice it at an angle. That is one way, and there's multiple different ways you can do this. You can also do a loft, where you will create the top and the bottom, then loft it together. But that is also difficult. So this is how I'm going to do this. I'm going to make a. I'm going to look. Do I need to use this? No, not really. I'm going to create the same circle size that we had previously. I'm going to move it over because I no longer need it for this part. And I'm going to create this bottom piece as if I was looking from the front view. So I'm going to create a line, making sure ortho's on. I need quadrant now. So this is our new OSNAP that you need to have active. It's quadrant. Select quadrant. We snap on to the quadrant and we're going down. Oh, this is tricky. They didn't give us the math. What they did was they gave us dimension from the bottom up. So what I can do, it can be easily resolved. I can draw a reference line from this bottom piece over here, and I'm going to draw this line here that connects to this, except I need perpendicular to snap to it, and I'm going to go up 20. So that would give me the distance here is for this triangle. Now that looks a little difficult. The other option would be to use some math and figure that out, get the dimension, and or what other option can you have here? Actually, this is kind of short because we're supposed to add the additional 10 at the base, so this should be up 10 more. I'll give you guys the dimension. It'll be probably easier than doing all that. It is 30. Back to this. So basically what you need is 30 is the length of this triangle here, this rib. So it's 30 and it's 6 across, so we're gonna do 3 inches apart, of course, so that makes it 6. So 3 this way and 3 this way. Delete all these and trim out that. So that's that triangle. So you could, it's curved at top. So that's the tricky part that we needed to create. So our option for this, I'm trying to look at here drawing. Okay, so what we're going to do is trim off the rest, or you can leave it as it is, and we're going to press pull this 6 up. So it gives us something like this. The only problem is this should be a triangle, so it should be cut at an angle. To get that angled shape, what we're going to do is we're going to use the slice command. So we're going to go to our slice command. We might have to change our UCX, which we do. We need to make X and Y face us and Z face toward, well, we need to see X and Y, and Z has to face us or against us. So that way we're kind of drawing on this face. So if I had the X and Y on it, it would be like we're drawing on this. From there we go to our slice command, select the object, and we just draw a line from the corner to the corner, just like so. We can delete the top portion now, and that gives us that rib. So we're slowly building up parts that we need to make this whole assembly. In addition to that, we also need to create the back piece, which supports the whole top structure. And that will be based on also some math. This is 6, 42, so we end up with 36 in length for this part. And the thickness, it specifies it at 6. So we'll do that. The only problem again here is that we need to, the top portion will be matching to the cylinder, so it's going to be curved a little bit. So what you can do, since we have that curve that we need here, top view, my X and Y, my UCX changes back to normal. I'm going to take a copy of this. I'm going to explode one of them. And I'm going to delete anything that I don't need, except for, well, actually I don't need any of this, come to think about it. I would just use that to create it, but looking at it, we can just do the same thing over. So we'll create a circle of the outer diameter, which is a 70. I'm going to move it over. Then once again, we're going to create that line, but this time we can go all the way down So from this point down it's going to be the same as this distance, so we can use that as a reference, like so. And maybe this time I decide to offset, so I'm going to offset 3 instead of creating 2 lines. But the only thing is I need to extend this to snap to the circle, the arc shape. And then finally I close it up. I can even trim the top, give me the piece I need, which I need to press pull at a distance of, like I specified before, 36. Now if you guys want, you guys can put them together as is for now, and then you can add up the top. So we'll do that, and then I'll make sure everybody's caught up to this so we can move forward. I'm using the rotate gizmo, so over here in the home tab, gizmos, I changed it to rotate, selecting all the items that I need to rotate. Most of them just need to be rotated vertically, and then they have to be placed together using the midpoints. So as you can see, it perfectly matches. It's supposed to be finished all the way to the end, which it does, so my math was right. And we got the first portion of the design completed. Okay, so I made a mistake on that size for this wedge or rib. It's supposed to be actually 50, not 30. So I'm going to have to change this. That's the problem. But okay, so this is an example of how I could change this without working too hard on this. Example would be I would explode this. I'd remove all these faces except for, this one's tricky, this one face here, where I'm going to explode it once more to remove the surface. So it becomes pretty much a 2D drawing from which I can actually stretch. So I can select these 2 lines. I'm going to stretch it down 20. Oh, it didn't go the right way, did it? I went angled because I got the wrong UCX set up. And go back. I'm going to change that to the right view. X and Y are in the right coordinates. Gotta select both of these lines here. Oh, if this is in the way, what you can do is select the object, go right click, isolate, hide object. That's not going to interfere anymore. And I can stretch this down 20. Right? Oh, what's going on here? Oh, it's already screwed up from the beginning. Undo. Okay, now I'm back to normal. Go back to that right view, isolate this part, select this, stretch it down 20, and that looks about right. From there I can just press pull this. Oh, if I can't press pull it, I have to make a region out of it and extrude it. So I can go to region, and then I just extrude it 6. Then I go right click, isolate, end object isolation, and I'm back to normal. So that's how I'd fix it. Explode it, use the same sketch to extend it out a little bit. Normally I would change it in 3D, but since the point I need to stretch is just a line, it's almost impossible to stretch the object. So it's just easier to do it that way. But once we have that, is what we can do is create the circle. So I already have the sketch set up here. Just need to change my view to top view. I'm going to go with that circle. And I have this shape I'm looking for. I just need to extrude or press pull this cylinder out, and the length of it is 44. Oh man, there's something wrong with this thing. Am I getting this right? 44? Okay, and I'm just going to rotate this around and position it so that it fits right at this. Looks like it's shorter, but that's what it's specifying. It's 44, so it's 44 up here from the outside to the outside, so that's our actual cylinder size. But if you look from here, it's 42 from the base plus 6, so that would be 48. And this is flush here, so I guess it is shorter from the back. Is that what you got?
I think the drawing, that 6 is off.
So we have that part. Then we can finally, actually we need to subtract this a rectangle, but we're going to subtract that rectangle later on. First we're going to design that side portion, which is this right here. So we're just going to do a simple, we can just draw it on the top view, so we can always rotate. It's a pretty simple piece. It's just a flat bottom at, what is that, 28 or 26? That looks like, well, we'll have to do math. Here's 14 for radius, so it's 28. 28. And the height, unspecified, is from the center of the radius. Looks like it's not important what the height is as long as it doesn't go over the cylinder, because it's going to match almost flush with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to still create that part. I'm going to create a center line for the 42 where the circles are going to be placed, which is the radius of 14, and one that has a diameter of 12. Close that up like so, and trim off what's not needed. We can always adjust the actual height later on. So I'm going to keep it as is, but I'm going to have to press pull this all the way through at 32 plus 32 plus 3. So we're going to press pull this object. 64 plus 3 is 67. There we go. And I'm going to rotate it around and place it onto the actual cylinder. It's specified that 6 inches off. So I'm going to go from the center, go from the move gizmo 6 inches back. I mean 6 millimeters back, and I went the wrong way. Come back. So, oh, it's not even center. Center the midpoint to the center of the circle. But you want the end of the circle, so like that. And now we can move it back 6. That creates the overall shape, except we have to verify that the center of the circle here is 42 from the center of this circle, which is going to be tricky. So I'm going to create a reference line across, and I can do a dimension from the center to this line. Oh, I've got to change my view from top to the right view, or the left view actually, based on this drawing. And now I can check out the dimension here. 42, perfect. So it is correctly placed. The only problem is I have all this material inside, which I need to remove. So I can actually just draw a circle that snaps on from, of course, the top view. Is that what I'm looking at? No, front view. Create a circle based on the center of that main circle. I'm going to have to extrude So here's the trick. If you can't select an object and it's because there's so many things behind it, what you may want to look into is selecting in a blue box and doing extrude. And then we're going to do subtract. Subtract from this outer cylinder, this inner cylinder. Oops, sorry, not the cylinders. I was supposed to select this top piece. From this piece, I want to subtract this part. That gives us that. In addition to that, we also need to create a rectangle that removes all this top material. So that top material is going to be 3 millimeters wide. So you just gotta do a rectangle anywhere on the top plane. D for dimension, we're gonna go 3 across, maybe 42, actually a little higher than that. We'll do 60 high. Then I move that over to the center and make sure that it extends over the part. If it doesn't, you can just stretch it as needed. Doesn't matter what shape it is, as long as it keeps at 3. And then we go extrude, goes all the way through, and more. Make sure it's positioned that it goes through both sides. And we subtract it based on these 2 parts this time. And that gives us our final piece. With this, yeah, and then except we have to union all this. Before I union, I always make a copy just in case. In case I need to modify some part, it'll be easier. And then I union it together. Becomes one piece. Oops, I missed one. There we go. And I can add the fillets. Solid fillets. There's a few of these. So our radius 6. I'm going to use the base first. It gives you a nice preview of it before it actually creates it. And we create the base. Then we need a fillet for here, which is going to be 16. So radius 16, like so. And we accept that. There's also a radius up here, looks like. So we're going to go fillet. I'm sorry, it's a fillet radius of 5. No, they can't be right. So once you have the item completed and unioned, what you want to do is do a flat shot. So at this point, I'm going to remove these sketches. I no longer need those. And to do the flat shot, we'll also need to remove any existing drawings I have on the side. Of course, if you want to keep everything else, just make sure you save it. And again, actually, you should save it before you even do any changes, or if you do flat shot, because flat shot becomes a little technical, and some of this data can be lost. So once you have a flat shot, once you have your drawing open, you go into a specified view. So at this point I'm at front view. I'm going to type in flat shot. It's going to give me an option for inserting a new block, replacing existing block, so forth. We're just going to insert a new block, so we keep all the defaults. We say create, and we place it on the screen. The scale is 1, so we click enter, and 1 is the X scale. It also wants to know which angle to place it at, so we click it here and place it. So that's our first one. Now we can go to, let's say we go into a right view or left, up to you. Maybe right. Yeah, right view. Again, flat shot. Create as a new block, place on the screen, click enter, enter, and also you have to click once more to place it. Okay, and finally we want the top view, so we go to top, we go to flat shot, create, click on the screen, enter, enter, and also place it once more. And finally, if you like, you can also do an isometric view. I usually do the southeast isometric. Again, I go into flat shot, create sketch, 1, enter, and then just rotating into the right. Which actually might not be the best, but we'll leave it as is. So that gives me my 4 drawings. You need to rotate these using the move gizmo, or rotate gizmo. Select them, rotate them to face the same direction so that I can put them on a page. So they're all the same kind of view. What I can do is I'm going to copy them and put in my, technically I should have a template, but if I don't, that's alright. Or I can actually, I'm going to leave them on the drawing here, so that way if I put dimensions, if I change anything, I won't lose anything. I use midpoints to make sure that when I do place the object, it's exactly aligned. So everything is uniformal, and there we go. Except that I gotta place that in the same XY coordinates. So now if I go into, let's say, view, I have, make this smaller, the viewport. Well, actually, maybe I should make that bigger. That isn't quite aligned. Oh, because it's not set up for front. There we go. And in addition to that, I can also put a viewport for the 3D, at which point I would go into an isometric. And I would still put all the different dimensions on my model space. You could add additional dimensioning for the ones that were missed from the original drawing that you received. So if there's anything missing or you feel like you need to clarify better than what it's being shown here, you can do that. That concludes it.